Hello, this is the Large and Unnecessary First Player Token Podcast, Episode 3.
Episode 3, welcome.
Well, welcome aboard. This has been a bit of a weird couple of weeks for us, Euan.
Yeah, this, I have to say, probably my gaming has been
we've done
curtailed.
some minimal gaming, I think.
Yeah. There's been a lot going on. We should probably share, we've just moved into First Player Token HQ.
Yep. Got the headquarters going.
Aye. Here in sunny Portobello. Looking out the window here, it's
sunny. I can't argue with it.
It's been sunny for the last couple of days, and we haven't really taken the time to enjoy it because we've been traipsing about the place with.
We've got some Rocket League in. We always get some Rocket League in. But basically, we've not got any broadband yet, so we can't really do any online stuff. So
it takes something away from Rocket League, doesn't it?
It does. Well, we have done some gaming, so we'll talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been continuing with my Batman Odyssey.
You have?
Yeah, I've worked my way through Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and I'm now on Arkham Origins, which I'm actually really enjoying. I think Arkham Origins actually.
Is that your best one?
Arkham Origins is my best one, Chris.
your best one.
Yeah. There's a lot of good, they really go for it with the combat in that one. There's a lot of fun moments in it. I think it's slightly it's more open than Arkham City. I think it seems like it's a kind of missing link, really, that people are probably going to forget about in the years to come. Because Arkham Knight does basically everything it does, but all sorts of bells and whistles on.
But you've been fairly tanking through those games.
I have been, yeah. I kind of just ignored the Riddler trophies and just went for the storyline.
I ignored those.
Yeah.
I could not be bothered with that many trophies.
I'm a wee bit more compelled to do it at Arkham Origins. They kind of do different things with him in that, where there's data packs you've got to try and find, and he's basically extorting people. He's elite hacker in Arkham Origins. So he's I've been watching a lot of interesting interpretations of Batman villains. We've both been following. I've now finished season 1 of Gotham.
Oh yeah, well it was kind of weird. We both just sort of realised we were both watching it in separate time, sort of thing.
I think it's a thing where you kind of you're not sure whether you can tell someone you watched this show or not.
Should I tell anybody about this?
Yeah. And we looked at each other.
Like taking smack you.
It's something of a guilty pleasure. I don't like the term guilty pleasure. I think, if it's a pleasure, no point hiding it.
Well,
you might as well be quite open about your love of this dumbest TV show.
Most basic of TV shows when it comes to plot hooks and stuff.
It's we were sitting there the other night, kind of just looking. It's is this a good show or not? I really don't know.
But the thing is, I want to watch the whole thing.
I do find it's compelling. There's
so I mean, it's about Jim Gordon.
Yeah, it's following Jim Gordon
in his early career.
Which
for
minus
some reason
Tash.
is set in modern day.
Yeah, I
thought it was a bit weird. But
it's that sort of floating comics timeline thing where you just use whatever's to hand, basically.
Well, one of the things I wondered if they actually were going to set it in the past and then change their mind at the last minute, because I noticed that in Gotham Police Station, all the monitors that the computers have are all CRT monitors. Nobody uses those.
I hadn't picked up on that.
Oh yeah, I totally spotted that. I was like, what's going on here?
There is a certain old-timey quality about some of it as well. It's all the gangster stuff in it, because the kind of backdrop is obviously the sort of highly corrupt Gotham with all these sort of mafia families sort of vying for control, and it does kind of hark back to a sort of older time. But the sort of the modern aspects of it don't really come into they never trace somebody's smartphone or something like that.
Right,
I think they're fairly sparing with anything that's modern in it. So
it's old school policing.
Yeah, it gives it a sort of timeless
the bribes
quality
and corruption. But we both quite enjoy the Penguin in it. What they've done with the Penguin is pretty good.
I enjoy
He basically started off as just this lowly sort of gang member.
Yeah.
And has just been sort of playing everybody against each other to try and work his way to the top.
Yeah, he's not your traditional penguin.
No,
He's kind of an
but he's
interesting
really good.
character. Oh,
He is
yeah,
really good.
I think that was kind of what kept me watching it.
I think so, yeah.
In the first sort of part of the season, then they kind of phase him out a bit and bring him back. And the way they've kind of like got lots of plot strands constantly dangling is a bit weird. Like they want to do like an episodic sort of soap opera show, but they also want to have like that modern sort of overarching plotline thing. And sometimes it is pretty odd. Like there's a lot of scenes that supposedly out of context would seem weird, but I think like even couched in a 45-minute TV show still seem pretty bizarre to me. Really, I think I'm considering maybe putting together a supercut of like some of Gotham's weirdest moments.
Director's cut.
Yeah. Which would involve me having to watch through the series again just to like make a note of everything, which I quite happily do.
Right, well, this is actually a podcast not about Gotham or TV shows.
Batman has derailed this.
He really
this
has. But this is a podcast about board games and video games. So, we just get started then, and we'll talk about some. We started with video games last time, I think. So, will we do some board games?
I think board games is.
I can't even remember.
This
is only the third episode, and I already can't remember what's happening.
We're going to get to it eventually.
Right, so let's start off with some board games then.
Yeah. Well, our most recent game has been, well, not probably most recent game, but the Sheriff of Nottingham was a big one, and I look forward to playing it again.
I know why.
Yeah, well, we'll get into that later. I think let's just get an overview of the game first before I gloat.
Go on then, hit me.
So essentially, it's a card game. It's kind of like a formalised version of the game Cheat, if anyone's ever played that.
It is. It really is.
The central mechanic is pretty much the same.
Yep.
But there's obviously all sorts of little accoutrement.
Did you just use the word accoutrement?
I did, and I'll use it again. Accoutrement. Essentially, you're playing market traders, with every player in the game taking a turn to be the Sheriff of Nottingham. You're trying to smuggle goods into Nottingham, presumably.
Yeah. I think the story is that the prince, whoever the prince is, at Prince John or something like that, has told the sheriff that all of the good stuff is to go to him. So you're trying to get some good stuff into your market stand without the sheriff noticing. So
you've got two types of goods that you can try and smuggle in. There's the legal things, like you've got apples, bread, cheese, and chickens as well, yeah. And you've also got your contraband, which is various things, mead, fine cheeses, various other sort of
crossbows.
Oh yeah, you can get some crossbows in there.
Worth a lot of money, crossbows. Yep.
So essentially, everybody on a basic turn, you've got your 3 market traders if you're playing a 4-player game, and your Sheriff of Nottingham.
Yeah.
The market traders will pick up cards to a hand size of I think 6, and you can put up to 5 into a little pouch, a lovely little fabric pouch.
Very nice pouches.
Yeah, that you'll then hand over to the sheriff, and you'll sort of appraise it and decide if he wants to have a wee look inside it. Yeah,
so you've got to tell the sheriff what you're giving him, but you could be lying, because one of the things about it is that you have to declare exactly the number of cards you're putting in. It's the one thing you're not allowed to lie about. Yeah. So you have to say exactly how many cards you're giving the sheriff, but you also have to say one type of good, and it has to be a legal good. So you have to say 3 chickens or 4 apples or 3 cheese, something like that.
I've got 6 crossbows.
Yeah, not allowed to say 6 crossbows.
Yeah. So yeah, at this point the sheriff's got all your goods, and then he's going to decide whether he was going to have a look inside your envelope, or if he's just going to let you on your way. So this is where obviously being a practiced liar is quite a useful skill, unless you come up against someone particularly suspicious.
Yeah, a practiced liar, but also a practiced briber helps as well.
Well, yeah, that is the other kind of option. You're well within your rights in this game to bribe the sheriff.
Yeah.
To get him to take your goods.
And it was one of the things that happened in, because we played the game, we've only played it once.
Yeah.
And we were kind of we were a bit, we didn't really understand or really think about the bribing sort of aspect.
No,
until one turn when I just gave you a load of money, and then everybody kind of went, "Oh,
yeah,
right."
It kind of got things flowing because I then, on a later turn, gave Craig an inordinate amount of money to get probably maybe just one bit of contraband by
and I sat there and tried to argue with him about this, about if he's giving you that much money, the stuff that's in that pouch is worth a hell of a lot more than that, so get his pouch opened. And he just took the money instead.
But the thing is, I think the money probably was worth more than what I was trying to get through. That's the thing, I was just kind of panicking, just have that.
Because you didn't even count the money, you just picked up a handful, a fistful of coins and threw them at him.
Basically. Yeah, because I'd made quite a lot of money off of people guessing that I had contraband when I didn't. In fact, just about everybody thought I was a suspicious get.
Basically, yeah. So, if the sheriff opens up your pouch and you were telling the truth, then the sheriff has to give you some money depending on what was in the bag.
Yeah.
But if the sheriff opens up the
wasting
pouch,
your time.
Yeah, and you were lying, then you have to give the sheriff money. So that's the incentive for the sheriff to, if he thinks that you're lying, he's going to get some money out of this if he is sure that you're lying, and you were.
Yeah.
So that's the incentive for the sheriff there. And also the bribes, though. The bribes are always tasty.
Keeps the money flowing. And if I remember rightly, there is a set amount of money in the game.
Yeah, it's a closed system.
Yeah, so you're not taking more out of the bank or anything like that. So yeah, it's worth trying to hoard all the money if you can.
That's right. And then, so that's basically the game, though. I mean, you play everybody's the sheriff twice.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so you essentially play
two
identical sort of rounds.
And the game ends there, and then you just add up the value, all the stuff that you got through.
Yeah.
And then all the money that you've got, add that on, and then there's some bonuses for having the most
king
apples
and queen of chickens.
The king of chickens.
Yeah,
so
the queen of apples.
Yeah, you got the most of one kind of thing, then you get extra points for it. And interestingly, the lowest valued thing in the game, the apples, give you the most points for having the most of them. At the end of the game. So
I think it's probably because it's one they expect people will try and slip stuff in with. I don't know why. I don't know the mentality behind that, but there's. I'm sure there's you could do a good psychoanalysis on why people think apples is a good thing to mix in with. I started doing it and I was I started trying to get apples across and then being I'm gonna wait, and then it's just people think I'm a simple apple trader, and then I'll put a bit.
Man, by the end of that game, you had a silly amount of apples.
I really did.
You basically saturated the market with apples.
People were sick of my stall.
Apple crumble again today.
Yeah. Do you want some apples, sir? Oh, it's Apple John. Tell him to bugger off.
Right, well. You really enjoyed this game, Euan, and the reason for that is because that you won by a ridiculous amount.
I think almost 100 points.
Lying, cheating, corrupt motherfucker.
Well, the thing about it is, as I said before, I only slipped 2 bits of contraband through. But in the whole game.
It was just you extorted everybody else.
I really did. I think I ended up. I think my money, because you score points for the money at the end of the game as well.
That's the whole point in getting money.
Yeah. So you. Yeah, and I had all those apples, and I got my king. That was the thing. I'd gotten through quite a lot of just ordinary goods, and I scored the bonuses for those. So yeah, it was a pretty resounding victory. It probably didn't help that Mungo just did not grasp the game at all.
Yeah, he really didn't.
And kind of just would open anything that came towards him in his natural suspicious.
Yeah, that was a big mistake I made, was trying to slip contraband past him, because I should have realised that he would just open everything.
I did it on one of my turns as well, and I was why did I bother doing that? If I'd maybe slipped him a bit of money, but I thought, oh no, I'll try and get it by him, but yeah, that was probably my only real error in that game.
Alright,
I could have made it a full 100-point margin.
I thought you did, didn't you?
No, I think I was on 210 and Craig was on 117 or something like that.
I think I was on about 90 something. You did win by a stupid amount.
I was
disgusted with you.
I don't think I'd get away with that again. To be honest, it was teething troubles for him.
I'm opening your bag every time from now on.
Pretty much. That's fine. I'm a simple apple trader. I'm Apple John.
Right. So Sheriff of Nottingham, good game.
Yes.
Arbitrary rating.
I'd give it 5 apples out of 6 raspberries.
I don't know where to go with that one.
I know. That's again Apple John. He doesn't rate well.
Yeah, I would definitely give it 4 chickens.
4 chickens, at least.
Just throw 4 chickens at it.
Yep. So
shoot them with a crossbow.
It's good party game. I imagine.
Yeah, plays pretty quickly.
Yeah. So
And it's just a laugh, really, isn't it?
It's good fun.
There's a lot of metagaming in it, which is always fun.
What have you got?
I'll let you play my PlayStation if you didn't open my bag.
Oh, yeah.
Right, so let's move on. I think next we're going to talk about Love Letter.
Yes, well, we've played a few rounds of that recently. That's why I was mentioning it being a more recent game.
Yeah.
We kind of just we cracked it out specifically for this episode, I think, and
well, yeah, but
really enjoyed it.
The thing is with Love Letter, I mean, it's a really small game.
Aye.
It's just a small card game. It only has 16 cards in it.
I wrote this down.
Yeah.
I'm going to just check the facts here.
Have you got the show notes there?
16 cards.
16 cards.
It's a card game, Chris.
All right. We know that.
Okay.
Right. So it's I think it's a Japanese game. So it was designed by some Japanese folk somewhere in Japan, presumably. And it's like you say, there's 16 cards in the game, and it can fit in your pocket. So you can just take this down the pub with you if you are not ashamed of the fact that it comes in a bright red bag with Love Letter stitched on the front of it.
And we are not.
Yeah, we're not ashamed of that. We don't care. But yeah, so like, it's an interesting one, isn't it? It's so well designed, this game.
Yeah, it's just a neat little card game.
Yeah.
The sort of court intrigue theme actually fits quite well.
It does.
Like with the way the game works and everything. And it plays quite quickly as well. And I don't really know what else to say about it.
Well, we'll talk about what some of how you play the game, really. I mean, it's like you shuffle up the deck and then you remove one card from the deck each round. So there's always one card that nobody at the table will know what that card is. And it just stays out the round. So that just brings makes it more interesting.
Yeah.
And then everybody gets dealt one card. And then when it's your turn, you pick up a card and you play one of those two cards. Now, there's only 8 different types of card in the game. So there's 16 cards and only 8 different types.
Yeah.
So
you've got your guard, your priest, Baron.
I'll go through them from memory.
Handmaiden.
Prince. Yes.
King.
Yes.
Countess.
Yes.
Princess.
Well done. Right. So these 8 different cards, I mean, they work, they play so well with each other.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. I mean, the idea is, like, the cards are numbered 1 to 8, and you just read them out starting from the lowest. So the princess is the highest card.
Just go back and listen to that again.
Yeah. But, like, if you just play through a round, you're trying to sort of, like, knock each other out, basically. Knock each other out of the round, using the powers on these cards. Yeah. But if at the end of a round there's more than one person left, the person with the highest card wins, and it's the person, like, if you've got the princess, you've won. Yeah. But the princess is also the worst card to have in your hand. You really
don't want it at the start of the game.
Because if you're ever forced to play the princess or discard her, you lose. And then there are so many different ways of stuff like that happening. So, like, you've got things like the Baron, which lets you compare your hand with somebody else's, and whoever's got the highest numbered card stays in and the other person's out. So you can get that combo of, like, having the Baron and the princess, which is guaranteed to knock somebody out because there's only one princess card in the game, and nothing's higher than that. So, but then, you get in a situation where if I've done that to you, I've played the Baron, showed you the princess, and you've got the Countess, which is the next highest numbered card, I've pretty much just told everybody that I've got the princess because you'll discard the Countess. And then, so you've got all these sort of, like, interesting little things that happen when you sort of combo these cards.
Like, situation where you kind of have to do something, one or the other, and maybe neither choice is going to be particularly good, but you kind of have to make an educated guess. That's it. What's
some of the other cards do? Like the King?
Well, you've got things like the King lets you swap hands with a player.
Swap hands.
The Prince makes you choose a player and make them discard their card. I think you can also discard your hand.
Yeah, you can discard your own hand, but the Prince is quite good if you know somebody's got the Princess. You just play the Prince, tell them to discard their hand, and they're out.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that, like, looking at people's hands or guessing. I mean, you've got the guards. There's 5 guards, I think. And each one of them, when you play it, allows you to sort of guess what's the card, apart from a guard, but any of the which brings that kind of taking a card out at the start of the game into play. Things like that does have a real significance
because the Princess couldn't even be in the game,
or
the King might not be there, or the Countess might not be there, or So it does. That's what makes the game really interesting. I think if they hadn't done that with the game, it would have been a completely different thing because then it becomes a
it's like a sort of a big deck game or something. It works really well. I mean, and it does. Yeah, it makes you do a lot of kind of odd calculating, basically, where you're just like, is is this going to be viable? Is this going to shaft me, basically?
Well, that's one of the things you have to, every time, if a card's played or discarded for whatever reason, it always goes face up on the table.
Yeah.
So you can always sit and look at what cards are out and try and figure out, like, well, you know, both princes are out, so this person's not got a prince, or whatever, you know. So it's quite interesting that way. And I mean, it plays quite quickly. I think each round we've played rounds that have lasted 10 seconds.
Ah, yeah. Well, some of the ones yesterday where we managed to guess your card about 3 or 4 times in a row.
Yeah, I know. I didn't even get a turn.
It was like at the start of the game as well. It was like could have been any. We managed to do it.
You're a bunch of bastards. So Love Letter, very compact game, very quick, easy to play.
Yep.
I would give it a love letter.
I'd give it 4 little cubes that represent sexual acts.
Well, that's just what we assume they.
Well, yeah. We have to believe that's the case.
I think the technical term is token of affection, but yeah, definitely.
Is that what they call them in the rulebook? Like, there is a nice little rulebook with this that's got like there is a bit of flavour text.
Oh yeah, there's flavour text.
There's flavour text for this game.
It takes up half the rulebook, I think.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just like a little story, and it pretty much explains in the flavour text that the handmaid is the best card, because essentially it's the handmaid that sorts out the little thing in the story.
Oh yeah, sorts out the little thing. Yeah.
I
see where this is going.
Well, I'd be interested to see how that works in the Batman Love Letter game, which we've yet to play.
We should probably mention that they have made different versions of this,
yeah.
And they've made a Batman Love Letter, but they didn't like just call it, you know, Batman like a love letter card game or something like that. They just called it Batman Love Letter, which is just weird.
I think Batman's probably written a love letter or 2 in his time.
Yeah, and as far as I know, I think the Batman game is identical. It's just the cards have just got different pictures on them.
I can't imagine they would have done anything else with it.
And I think they made the Lord of the Rings one as well, which is just even weirder.
Yeah, that somehow makes more sense though.
I think
like
so.
Frodo's got to be the top card, basically.
No, I think it's the ring.
And it's Sam trying to give him a kiss.
I don't want to know what happened off camera in that film.
Oh.
Right, well, I mean, I think that's pretty much all the board games we've been playing, Euan, recently. Like I say, we have had a pretty busy couple of weeks. So
it's been a lot on. It's been a bit sparse for board games.
Yeah, we'll have some more in a fortnight's time, once we're settled in and done nothing but game. Right, so let's take a wee bit of a break here, and then we'll go and chat about some of the weird video games we've been playing.
It's been bizarre.
Right, we're back, and video game chat, Euan. So,
as I said earlier, I haven't been playing a huge amount. Most of my time's been taken up with Batman.
Yeah, well, I've
what have you been enjoying?
Well, I've been enjoying for quite a while. A game called Rimworld, which is still in alpha, I believe.
Alright.
And it's a game that I bought, sometime last year.
You love these alpha games, don't you?
Yeah, man. I do love finding a good game that's under construction and watching it come through.
Well, these do seem to be really quite fully developed games anyway. They've got a good concept behind them.
I haven't played the latest build of it, but I have been playing it for I like to play it on trains and stuff with my laptop.
Right.
It's one of these games you can completely lose yourself in. And it's Rimworld. It's a sort of sci-fi colony simulator sort of thing. It's by a company called Ludion Studios, and it's. The basic premise of the game, at the beginning of it, you get sort of 3 characters, and they're sort of random characters that you get. I think you can edit them possibly.
Always 3.
It's always 3 that you start with, and then the idea is that you just basically crash land on a planet, which is just a randomly generated planet, and then you've got to try and survive. And the sort of general idea is that you're supposed to build some sort of spaceship to escape the planet again.
Right.
That's going to take a long time. So in the meantime, you're just trying to survive on this planet, and it's like a sort of like a colony simulator management thing.
Yeah.
And it's just I don't really know where to begin with Rimworld, to be honest. It's so interesting a game, because your guys have all got these sort of different stats, you know. So some of them might be good at shooting, some of them might be good at, you know, constructing and mining or whatever.
Yeah.
And you can basically just you don't actually control the characters directly. You just sort of give orders. So you can tell them to go and mine a bit of rock or something like that, and you can change who does what depending on their skills and stuff like that. And so if you tell them to go and mine a bit of rock, the guys that are set to mining will just run off and start mining this rock out and stuff like that. And then you can start building up a base. And because you have to survive, you have to build a base and you have to get beds and stuff for them to sleep in. You have to start getting a food source. But you also have to start building defences, because you get sort of raiders that will come and just start attacking you randomly. But the game's it's quite interesting, because they have, like, when you begin the game, they've got 3 different storytellers. And this is basically almost like a difficulty
I did see this on their website. They were talking about the kind of like the story creation aspect is a big part of the game. So, they want to create these little kind of...
That's right. The idea is that the game kind of reacts to what you're doing depending on what storyteller you've picked. Yeah. And it knows if you've not picked something up properly. So like if you've really just not got the hang of something, it'll start telling you like how to do these things as well. So it's quite clever that way. Yeah. It's been sort of really well designed in that sort of aspect. But it's just like I say, you can get so attached to some of your little guys. They develop. They've got their own little personalities and stuff like that. So some of them will get they don't really care if they see a corpse. But other people they'll get really unhappy if there's a corpse lying about the place.
Saw a corpse.
And you have to just try and keep them happy, and they're in this really grim situation. Yeah. So they've crash landed on a planet. What are they going to do, sort of thing? So you have to build up this base, and then you can start laying out plots of land to farm and stuff, or you can set your guys off to go hunting. But then
there's going to be perils.
You start hitting all these problems. So you've got all this meat that's piling up from all these, and it just goes rotten after a few days.
Everybody gets sick.
Yeah. So you have to build a sort of refrigerator room. So you have to put a little refrigerator thing in. But the thing is, it acts like an actual refrigerator. So one side of the refrigerator goes really cold. The other side goes really hot.
You've got to disperse the heat.
Which me and my friend Craig have found quite fun, because if you just make one room really hot and make that sort of an obvious entrance into your base for raiders, they'll smash the wall down and then set themselves on fire.
That's quite an interesting defence.
Yeah, so they've really got these little things in this game are just the things that make it really so quite interesting.
I like that there's lots of options for it.
One of the games that I played recently, I had a raider attack which went horribly badly. And it left only one woman alive out of the... I had 4 people, because you can capture some of these raiders and you can basically brainwash them into joining your side. So you can you can build a prison, keep them in it, and then you can get somebody with a high social skill to go and keep chatting to them. And then they become more and more convinced about your point of view, sort of thing. And sometimes they'll.
We also get sort of other crash landies.
Yeah, you do.
Joining you as well.
Sometimes they'll just randomly drop in, but again, I think that depends on the storyteller that you've picked. Because I think, I've always picked the same one so far, because it's the sort of the gentlest one, if you see what I mean. I'm not really that bothered about having to deal with massive raids and stuff like that, because I just
who is Chris?
I would just do my head in. I just like the whole just relaxing. Sort of just building up a base and watching your guys survive, and doing all these things. But like I say, with that one game that I made, I had this one woman who the only person that survived the raider attack, and she survived on her own for about a year. And she was a machine. She would she would do everything. She had some sort of skill in just about everything. Pretty low stats and something. So she wasn't that great at farming and stuff like that. But she would go out and do all the things.
Keep herself alive.
And she kept herself alive for a year until we managed to get some more people to join the cause, sort of thing. And but it got to the point where she was basically hobbling about. She only had 1 foot.
Because they get people have them perform amputations on each other.
That's the thing. So you've got people with medicine skills. You build a little hospital bed and stuff like that, and you can basically if somebody's lost a limb or something like that, you can get them to just you can get cybernetics in it. But you can also just you've only got 1 leg, but this wooden stump would be better than having only 1 leg. So you can just attach a wooden stump into one of your guys, just that
fire a pole into them.
It doesn't make them as good as they would with 2 legs, but it's better than only 1.
Crawling about the place. So that might depress some of your other.
But it's got kind of the theming is kind of interesting, because it really reminds me of sort of Firefly. The TV show.
I've still not seen Firefly.
Have you never seen Firefly?
I've never bothered with it, to be honest.
Actually, I had that thing about it as well. It was a bit of a cult TV show. And I was just 1 season, cult TV show. It probably can't be that good. And I actually sat and watched it. I was actually, that's pretty good.
There's been a few good TV shows that they've just sort of either been axed or were only meant to be 1 series.
Yeah, it's because it's like a sort of like a frontier thing, you know. It's like you've got this new world, and you can build little sort of construction benches, and one of the things you can build like cowboy duster things and cowboy hats and stuff like that.
So you go for the full frontier cowboy look.
You can like get shotguns and stuff. There are passing traders that are orbiting the planet, and you can buy things off them. So like you can go and mine some silver and stuff.
But they can't get you off the planet.
They refuse to take you off the planet.
Lazy bastards.
But if you've got like prisoners, you can sell them the prisoners as slaves. But that really upsets your people if you do that. They're just like,
all right. So there's
why have we done this?
They're pretty dodgy traders.
Yeah, well, some of them are.
We were meant to be peaceful.
You get like just so many little like nuances in the game that just make it so interesting at times. So, like, can
you get like a priest just rattling everybody's cages? We were meant to be men of God.
I don't know if you can. I think you get people that are teetotal and stuff like that. But I had that one woman that was the trooper. She eventually became an alcoholic.
Wouldn't you?
I just decided, like, you know, she's had a hard year. I'll buy some beer off this passing trader, and then she just wouldn't stop drinking it. And then I would just keep getting this message up every so often that would just say that she'd like run off into a drunken stupor and had just stopped working, and she'd be just wandering about the place, staring at trees and stuff like that. It's just like it's so like you just get so involved in it. It's like I absolutely love it. The latest build seems quite interesting because they've actually added in the ability to do some animal husbandry.
Oh, right.
So you can like there's animals wandering about that you can hunt and stuff like that, but you've never actually been able to like keep them in a sort of farm or anything like that before. Whereas you can do that now, and you can also keep them as pets. And they've added so many different animals into it now, whereas before there was just like, you know, sort of buffalo type things and some deer and stuff and rats and things like that just kicking about the place. They've now added things like dogs and like monkeys and stuff, I believe, just like, and you can actually train them. Right. So you can train them up and then you can assign them to one of your colonists sort of thing. And then if that colonist goes and starts a fight with somebody, like if you've got a bunch of dogs with you or something, you can tell the dogs to just attack, and they'll just go after this whoever's shooting them and stuff like that. It's really interesting. But I've not played it myself. I've seen it though. Right. I've seen my friend Craig playing it, but it just it looks really good. But I think one of the problems with the animals is, you know, they'll eat all your food.
Yeah.
So
we can leave all the rotten food lying about outside for them.
Yeah. But
your colonists get depressed. Saw a monkey diarrhea.
Rimworld. I mean, if you like things like Dwarf Fortress, that kind of it's that kind of feel of the game sort of thing. Like it's the same idea pretty much. Then Rimworld has definitely taken that to another level for me. Made it much more sort of interesting. Because Dwarf Fortress always felt a bit sort of dry. Didn't really feel emotionally attached.
Just doing stuff, you know.
As such, that it was just like you were just doing things, but you do feel sort of emotionally attached to this sort of base that you're building and the people that are living in it in Rimworld. And it's I've sunk a lot of hours into it.
How many would you say have you got? Is it comparable to 7 Days to Die?
It's probably not quite that level, but I haven't been playing it as long, I don't think. But probably approaching 100 hours, I would say, that I've sunk into Rimworld, which is a lot for me.
Yeah.
I'm not the kind of person that sinks that many hours into a game. But
you have a lot of difficulty with completing just your average single-player experience.
I don't know, these kind of single-player experience things that are like sort of action games, I can sometimes find a bit samey. I haven't said that Rimworld's a bit samey, but like I say, you're much more attached to it.
Experience, and it's kind of pull you in a bit, I suppose. In a way. It does seem to be specifically designed to be a sort of narrative thing where you are involved in what's going on.
But Rimworld is something that I would definitely recommend. If for anybody that likes those sort of management games, definitely. I would give it 15 rims.
15 rims?
Out of 16 worlds.
Alright.
I think, but that would be my rating.
That's good. It's good to not have too many rims.
You don't want too much rimming going on.
No. Keep the rimming to a minimum. Keep the rimming to a minimum. Hello, Sheriff of Nottingham.
Let's move away from that conversation.
Right.
What are we talking about next, Euan?
I don't know. What else has been on your mind?
I've
still playing Dragon Age.
Still playing Dragon Age.
Still loving Dragon Age.
Still quite enjoying it. The more that I play Dragon Age Inquisition, the more I'm enjoying it.
You spoke about it yesterday. You were very excited about it.
I was speaking to James about that. Was it our friend James?
Yeah.
And because he's been playing it as well, and I think. I mean, when I first started playing the game, it was a bit sort of, oh, here we go again, Well, this is just one of these weird RPGs. But now that I've really got the grips to it, and I've not even advanced that far through the storyline, but I'm still just like, I just love just going to all these new places and wandering about and finding the caves or whatever, or just seeing what's going on in this area.
It does seem to be a massive game.
Yeah. Some of the graphics in it are absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
There's one place in particular, the Storm Coast, which is just constantly raining. It reminds me a bit of Scotland, to be honest. It's like a sort of like beach, rocky beach sort of thing in Scotland with cliffs and stuff like that. And some of that it just looked absolutely amazing.
You've seen you haven't played any of The Witcher yet, have you?
I haven't, no.
You'll enjoy some
I don't want to think about that, Ewan, because that's depressing me, the fact that The Witcher's sitting there and I'm not playing it.
Just
need
play
to finish
Dragon Age.
Age.
Just play Dragon Age. You'll be fine now. But you've got some lovely weather effects to look forward to.
Oh yeah, I've heard about the hair.
Oh yeah. Well, it's like the trees will bend fully in the wind. Like it's quite. I've not really seen anything like that in games before. It looks lovely. But yeah, they have a sort of essentially like a general Celtic place, Skellig, where you go, and there's it sounds fairly similar. That kind of just general Celtic thing.
I don't know if the graphics in Inquisition is involved in that, but I just
Probably
think
not.
that it seems quite good that they're just sitting looking at a scene, just sort of looking at the landscape in Dragon Age Inquisition. It's just like it's something that's just it's really really nice. You can sit and stare at it for hours, and I probably have.
You'll be racking up some more hours on that one.
I'm still doing my two-handed Celtic warrior in it as well, which is just fun, just shouting at people.
Does he do one of those?
Yeah, just getting angry at people all the time. You can't talk to me, I'll slay you. But yeah, pretty. Enjoying it, and I might play some more tonight actually. Seeing as we've not done much gaming.
No, well, we enjoy it. I've been meaning to add. As I said, I was considering getting Dragon Age 2 out because I'd kind of worked my way up to that, having played through the original Dragon Age. And there is something to those games like this.
Oh, yeah.
Although I've heard a lot of people were particularly impressed with Dragon Age 2, and I can maybe see why, but they seem to have... They did a lot of good things with developing the combat system, which was like ridiculously clunky in the original Dragon Age. It was weird as well. The kind of you found you'd go into fights that you'd normally think you'd be prepared for, and then you'd suddenly die. And then sometimes you would, most of the time, the idea was to kind of set yourself up to basically wipe stuff out as quickly as possible because it was a pain in the arse to have to go through all the menu and pause the game and do this and that. It wasn't the most enjoyable. The fighting was a bit of a slog, to be honest, in most of it.
Yeah, because I'd only played the first one. I've not played the second one. I played the first one, and I found that as well in the first one, and it just kind of put me off it.
Well, that's the thing. I think a lot of like the other elements of the game kind of overcame it. Like all the way the conversations and stuff worked, and the kind of the sort of little sort of aspects of the game like that, where you're sort of dealing with your party members and stuff like that, and the general story was quite good, so I think, they definitely worked it into something decent with Inquisition. The look of it.
Aye. I mean, I do like what they've done with Inquisition compared to what the first one was like.
Aye.
I think it is much more playable. Much more sort of, you can just enjoy it rather than getting pissed off with it sometimes.
Fair enough. And have they kept the kind of like a lot of the lore from the first game?
You still run around finding books and stuff that tell you all these weird stories and histories and stuff like that. So, but yeah, there's
like sort of the backdrop at the end of the first game. I can't remember. Obviously, you've got one of your party members becomes king. Alistair.
Oh yeah, he's still king in Inquisition.
Nice one. Because I thought he was pretty much like doomed with what would be in a Grey Warden and everything.
Yeah.
But they seem to kind of just bypass that.
He
was a good lad, though. I enjoyed him. He was one of the elements that definitely kept me playing Dragon Age. It was a funny one.
That's kind of weird because he pissed me off when I was playing the first.
He's great. once you start getting into it a bit more, and you realise that it just pretty much is not interested in having a genuine conversation with you at any time. A couple of times, like the whole point is basically with the sort of conversations with his character is to just josh with him until you can get to a point where you can needle him about something and find something out. But for the most part, he will just deflect with like stupid jokes, and they're generally quite good.
Yeah, I think that's what annoyed me about him.
Right, well,
just tell me stuff, man. Stop fannying about.
I enjoyed breaking down his defences.
I think, could you get in a relationship with him in the first game?
I think there was possibly, because did they not have that, that was kind of, there was no,
I
it could
don't know
be
if
male on male and female. And
I don't know if, they do that in all those games. The same with the Mass Effect games.
Right.
It's just like they're just,
everyone's just pansexual.
Pansexual is just pansexuality is just the thing.
Yeah.
But I just remember, like, our friend Craig was just basically telling us when he played the first Dragon Age, he accidentally got into a homosexual relationship with somebody.
It might have been Zevran. There was like
was
there's an
elf
sort of like mercenary guy,
and he was really just flirty. And
like he was
dirty.
just like well up for getting fired into it. I was almost tempted myself. I was like, this guy was just like.
Oh man, you've nearly convinced me.
I know, yeah. I was like, tell you what, you silver-tongued devil, Zevran. Why don't we go back to my tent?
Yeah, I think it was, Craig was saying that he accidentally got in a homosexual relationship with this guy and couldn't end it. And he says it kind of almost ruined the game for him because he was just like, I don't want this. I just don't want this.
I think I would have had him along. Like it was. I can't imagine breaking up with Zevran would have been easy.
I think he did try to break up with him and then tried to sort of flirt with a woman instead, and the woman was just like, nah, you're with Zevran. Like,
or he tried to break up with Zevran and he's just like, you are such a joker.
Yeah, that's what he sounded like. I remember him now.
The crows will be coming for me. So, why don't we take this moment?
Oh yeah, because people were hunting him or something, weren't they?
Aye, well he's one of the mercenaries that's sent out to try and kill you, and you end up just battering him, and he turns around and goes, I think I will join you. You are an attractive young man. Should have been wary of him from the start, really.
Can't trust an elf. Right. Well, we finish up by talking about something else. This is quite a short episode, I think, compared to the other ones.
Yeah, well, as we said,
we'll talk about.
We've reiterated many times
the infamous Pawel, who we have mentioned on several occasions.
Yes.
In this podcast, who is a friend of ours.
He's a good lad.
Acquaintance.
Yeah.
Like a guy we know.
A colleague.
Just somebody. He gave me a Steam code, a Steam key for the new Shadowrun game, Shadowrun Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And I think he must have kickstarted it, I think, and got 2 copies, and he gave me one of them, which was nice of him. It was nice of him. But I think the deal was that I was to talk about it on the podcast. So, so here we are. Right, I've made a.
We did ask for submissions, and we've
I don't know if that counts as a submission. That's just a demand.
Yeah, people telling us to look at games and talk about them. We've got some others in the pipeline.
Yeah. So I played Shadowrun is like it was a tabletop RPG originally.
That's how it started off with.
I'm pretty sure that's how it started. And then there was a SNES game and a Mega Drive game made under the Shadowrun name, and one of them, I think it was the Mega Drive version. Or no, it was the SNES version, I think.
SNES version.
It was the SNES version. It was the good one.
Yeah. Were they 2 very different games then?
I think they were.
Oh, right.
I could be thinking of something else, but I'm pretty sure there was a Mega Drive Shadowrun, and it was terrible.
Aye.
Anyway, the SNES one is the one that everybody cares about. And when I was a kid, that game was kicking about, and I fucking loved it. I thought it was just such a good game. It had everything that I wanted as a geeky little kid, just sort of those slight RPG elements, but they didn't overdo the RPG thing, but the story in it was just brilliant, and there was enough to keep you going, and the music was pretty good for a SNES game sort of thing.
Glad you remember that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely one that I've met a few folk who've got fond memories of it. I never played it. I wasn't aware of it until many years later, and somebody actually was like, "Oh, did you ever play Shadowrun?" And I was like, "No, I didn't."
Did you actually play it then?
I played a bit, with Uncle. He brought it out at one point.
What did you think of it?
To be honest, I didn't play enough to get a good idea of it. I mean, it's like you really have to get into those games, especially like when you're sort of going back to old sort of 8-bit RPGs, basically.
I would sit and play through that game again. Yeah. Right? In fact, I think I did about 4 or 5 years ago. I just sat and played through the whole thing on an emulator.
Well, we'll get hold of an emulator then, see if we can...
But anyway, so that Shadowrun game happened, and then I don't think anything else came out in video game form for Shadowrun, which was really quite disappointing, I think, until just a couple of years ago, when somebody put up a Kickstarter and they'd obviously got the license for it and stuff, and made something called Shadowrun Returns. Now, I got that and played through the whole thing, and I really enjoyed it. It was, it's got it's a sort of isometric sort of view thing, and you've just got this character that you create at the start, and, it's got a sort of RPG story. So, the Shadowrun thing's set in a sort of cyberpunk setting, but with magic, and there's elves and dwarves. There was supposed to be some awakening at some point when elves and dwarves and all that sort of turned up, and people started being able to use magic, but it's a cyberpunk setting, so it's like, corporations run the world and all that sort of thing.
People wear sunglasses at all times.
And I played through Shadowrun Returns, and I really quite enjoyed it. I think it reminded me a lot of like the original Fallout games in terms of the combat, and it was like sort of turn-based with action points, and you can switch between your guns and you can cast certain spells and stuff like that, depending on your class. Also had some hacking in it as well, and it had that sort of proper cyberspace hacking from like the 80s style thing where you're just running about in a big sort of square grid.
Oh, right, nice.
Where there was just like things that you could, like defense programs which actually just looked like robots and stuff that you could sort of attack and stuff like that.
You have to make sure you've got enough ice before you jack in.
Oh yeah, you got to have ice.
You got to make sure you got your ice, like.
Yeah.
Don't forget your ice. Have you ever jacked in?
You got to update your keyboard and stuff like that as well. Your rig. You got to make sure you got a good rig. Get a ZX Spectrum keyboard strapped to your back. But so Shadowrun Returns I really enjoyed. It's sort of got decent story and stuff like that. I won't ruin it for anybody that wants to play it, but I mean it's a good sort of RPG style thing. You get you get karma points like you do in the original Shadowrun game, which you spend on your stats, and it's a simple thing of you spend, if you've got 3 in your body skill, then you need 4 to go up to level 4 in it. But then that's split down into other things as well, so you can get like extra hit points and all this sort of thing.
It's an interesting take on how karma works.
Oh yeah. But I think that was like that actually came from the original tabletop thing. I think that was karma they used instead of experience, basically, as far as I know. So I started playing Shadowrun Hong Kong. I've not got very far through it, but they've changed a couple of things in it from Shadowrun Returns. Just made it a bit more intuitive, easier to use and stuff like that. Some more options for your characters and stuff like that. And so far, it seems it's pretty much the same thing as Shadowrun Returns, which is good for me because it was...
Liked in that.
I liked it enough that the combat is pretty good. It's pretty interesting.
Are they quite short games, these then?
Shadowrun Returns wasn't very long. I think somewhere... I don't think it took me any more than 15 hours or something to play through the whole thing, possibly. Right. I'm not sure. It was about a year ago, I think, I played through it. So, but I think one of the good things about it, I think they've actually opened it up on like the Steam Workshop, or it's like people can mod it basically, so they can make their own stories and that kind of thing. As far as I know, I've also got the one that came out after Shadowrun Returns, because I think Shadowrun Hong Kong's the third official one. And it was called Dragonfall, and apparently that's really good, and I haven't played it. I've got it, but I haven't played it. And I thought, just because Pawel wants me to talk about Shadowrun Hong Kong, I'll play that first.
Fair enough.
But I've gone in... Which class did I pick? I think I went in as a decker this time, which is a hacker, basically.
You're just decking people.
Yeah, because in the first game I went in as a street samurai. Who are basically just like your fighting units.
It's like Lee Van Cleef.
Yeah. And
Sensei McAllister.
I wanted to go in as something a bit different this time, so I decided to go for the decking route. I've not yet found anything that I can actually hack.
Right.
So, because I'm not that far through the game, but it's going to be interesting once I do. I'm going to have to start buying some programs and things like that, and get some defense set up for when I do go into cyberspace and maneuver through those lit up little squares. But yeah, I mean, if you like their sort of cyberpunk settings, if you like that sort of like, if you're not that fussed about shit hot graphics and stuff like that, if you just want a game that's just good, got decent story, sort of solid story, Got a good sort of gritty cyberpunk feel to it, with some added fantasy thrown in. If you want to be an elf, you can be an elf.
That sounds like a curious element to me. That would be quite interesting.
You can go a troll or an orc as well, I think. So it's all good.
Trolls exist in the cyberpunk world as well. I mean, presumably there will still be forums.
That's
in the blighted corporate
but
future.
it'd be a bunch of people standing about in cyberspace.
Oh, right, going, hi, we're 4chan.
I shagged your ma. But yeah, I mean, in fact, one of the things I just really enjoyed about the Shadowrun setting is the fact that they threw that fantasy thing in.
Yeah.
It's almost like sci-fi and fantasy were always two separate things until they just decided, let's throw the two things together and see what happens, and it stuck. So, if you enjoy that kind of thing, then I would definitely recommend it. It's, like I say, it's an RPG thing, so yeah, be prepared for that. But it's not complicated, and it's just, it's good fun, it's interesting, and you can do multiple playthroughs and you'll probably get different results. So, Shadowrun Hong Kong.
Cool.
Started playing it. I'll keep you updated.
Keep it going.
Yeah.
Have you got a rating for us?
Well, I don't want to rate Shadowrun Hong Kong quite yet, but I think Shadowrun Returns, for an initial effort, I would give it 4 trolls.
4 trolls?
4 trolls out of 6, I think, would be what I would give Shadowrun Returns, and I'm expecting sort of bigger and better things out of Hong Kong.
Great.
So yeah, check it out.
Well, that brings us to the end, Chris, I believe.
Certainly does.
We don't have a huge amount else to talk about. Hopefully we'll have
got a hell of a lot more gaming done by the next episode. I expect there'll be a lot happening. And yeah, we've got one. Are we going to tease a little bit more Pawel chat? Oh, Pawel chat.
Yeah.
If you want some hot Pawel chat, call this number. No. Pawel, we're looking for contributors, basically.
Yeah.
So if you've got any sort of gaming related topic, now it doesn't have to be video and board gaming, any sort of gaming whatsoever. If you can class it as some sort of gaming, feel free. All right, let us know. And we just send us an email, tell us what you want to talk about, and we'll try and fit it in some way.
Yeah. I mean, we'll be looking sort of for like short, maybe 5 to 10 minute segments.
I would say aim for about 5 minute segments, but you can cut your thing up if you want to continue it in the next episode or whatever. Then so if you want to talk about one big topic,
we could do a little serial.
That's it.
Stick that on the end there.
So if you want to just chat about something, then send us an email. That's firstplayertoken@gmail.com.
Yep.
Let us know what you want to talk about, and we'll look into it for you and see if we can squeeze you in somehow.
Yeah.
And Pawel has kindly offered to do some of that for us.
Yep, he's going to be padding out the runtime for us a bit.
Yep, the man himself, the myth, the legend.
Yes, he's had a lot of chat. I think he's actually made it into every single episode so far.
He's been mentioned several times.
So it's essentially he's a co-host.
I don't really like him, to be honest, but.
I could take or leave him. You know?
Just kidding, man.
I could buy and sell him 1,000 times. That's not true.
Yeah, so Pawel's gonna chat about some RPGs, like tabletop role playing games, which is something that we have dabbled in, but not really know very much about, to be honest. So we wouldn't.
We've got a little bit. At some point, it would be nice to bring up our Pathfinder thing, but it's so it's so sporadic at the moment that
I don't think we've played it in months now, but
no.
I have loads of stuff set up and almost ready to go for it, but it's just the fact that it's almost ready to go that I'm not.
Well, there's another thing we might do in the future and haven't done in this episode, so enjoy thinking about that.
Thanks, Euan. Right. Well, we'll get Pawel on to talk about some RPGs. He might talk about some older stuff, which is good. Yeah. We're all about any time span, I think.
I think, yeah. I mean,
we're not
happy
bothered
to hear about it all. You know, I think we want to hear people's personal tastes, the little interesting tidbits that they might bring to the show. So, because we've certainly mentioned some obscure stuff in our time. So.
It's like Dr. Dre's awesome game.
Yeah. Well, that's again one out of the archives, as we said. Hopefully we'll be getting some more info on that soon. Actually, we've been dredging out a few more tunes, and we just need to sort of get the dust off the tapes and things like that, and then transfer them to a digital format. And hopefully we'll be able to bring you a little bit more from that undiscovered
gold mine.
Gold mine of
gold mine of music.
Yes.
Right. So I think that pretty much wraps it up for us for tonight.
I think that'll do it, yeah.
So, yeah, bit of a shorter episode. But we'll hopefully improve. B minus. See me later.
Obviously, the runtime of the episode is no indicator of quality. So let us know what you think.
Right, so thanks for listening, folks. This has been the Large and Unnecessary First Player Token podcast. I am Chris.
And I've been Euan.
See you later.
Bye.